All right, today we're diving into a really fascinating and honestly pretty mysterious text that has captivated spiritual seekers for more than 100 years, the Kybalion.
Right off the bat, the book hits you with this line. It's basically saying, hey, what you're about to read isn't for just anyone. It immediately sets this tone of profound, secret knowledge that's reserved only for those who are truly ready to get it.
So, what is this mysterious work? Let's peel back the layers and see what's really going on here.
Okay, so picture this. It's 1912, and this book just sort of appears, and it makes this huge claim. It's not trying to be some new philosophy. No, it calls itself a master key, a tool that could unlock all the inner doors of the Temple of Mystery, but only for those who are already on the path.
And get this, nobody knew who wrote it. The authors were just called the Three Initiates. I mean, that just deepens the mystique, right? It makes you feel like these teachings are ancient, something that's been guarded and kept secret for millennia.
Now, according to the book itself, this wisdom isn't from the 20th century at all. No, it claims its teachings come from a legendary figure who was around at the very dawn of time.
And that figure is Hermes Trismegistus. The name itself means thrice great. He's called the Master of Masters, this legendary father of occult wisdom from ancient Egypt. The text is actually dedicated to him, calling him the great central sun of occultism, like he's the original source of all this mystical light. So the lore goes that this wisdom was never meant to be written down for mass consumption. It was a secret doctrine, carefully guarded and passed down from lip to ear, generation after generation, by initiates who kept that secret flame alive.
And this quote right here, it really sums up the whole philosophy. It's that classic idea, right? When the student is ready, the teacher appears. The knowledge will only find you when you are spiritually prepared to receive it.
Okay, now we're getting to the absolute heart of the Kybalion. This is the whole shebang. The 7 universal principles that it claims are the very keys to understanding existence itself.
The principles of truth are 7. He who knows these, understandingly, possesses the magic key before whose touch all the doors of the temple fly open.
The first principle, and this one is the big one, is mentalism. The core idea is that our entire universe is a mental creation. It all exists within a universal, infinite, living mind called the All. That means everything from the stars in the sky to your own thoughts is fundamentally part of this one vast cosmic consciousness.
Next up is correspondence. You've probably heard this famous phrase before. It means there's a harmony between the physical, mental, and spiritual worlds. A good analogy is a hologram, where any tiny piece still contains the entire image. So, by studying our world here, the below, we can start to understand the workings of higher realities, the above.
The third principle is vibration, and it's pretty simple. Everything is in constant motion. Nothing is ever truly still. The difference between a rock, a sound, or a thought is just its rate of vibration. The book says that anyone who understands this principle has grasped the scepter of power.
All right, number 4 is the principle of polarity. This says everything has an opposite. But here's the kicker. Those opposites are actually just 2 extremes of the same thing. They don't differ in kind, only in degree.
So, for example, take heat and cold. They aren't 2 separate things, right? They're just different degrees on a single scale of temperature. The exact same logic applies to love and hate, or light and darkness. Understanding this is apparently the key to the art of transmutation, which is all about learning how to change one mental state into another.
Then there's the principle of rhythm. This one describes the natural ebb and flow in everything. Think of a pendulum swinging back and forth. You see it everywhere, in economies, in history, even in your own moods. The master of this principle doesn't try to stop the swing, but instead learns to use its momentum. Now this principle is huge. It says there's no such thing as chance. Every single effect has a cause, and every cause has an effect. We might not always be able to see the connection, but it's always there. So the goal for an initiate is to rise above being just an effect of their circumstances and learn to become a conscious cause in their own life. And finally, we have the principle of gender. Now, this is really important. This is not about physical sex. It's about energy. The idea is that everything contains both masculine and feminine principles, that energetic interplay of giving and receiving, of projecting and creating, that's necessary for anything new to come into being.
So those are the 7 principles. Pretty profound stuff. But this brings us to a really crucial question about the book itself.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because while the ideas claim to be ancient,
The book itself, well, it isn't. It's a modern interpretation, first published in Chicago in 1912. So there's this clear contrast between the ancient lore it talks about and its known modern history.
But you know, understanding that it's a modern book doesn't diminish its impact one bit. In fact, it might actually help explain why it's had such a massive influence on how we think today.
The concepts that the Kybalion popularized are deeply embedded in modern spirituality. That whole idea of mental transmutation, of changing your reality by changing your mind, is a direct echo of these principles. It's a cornerstone for huge movements like New Thought and, you guessed it, the law of attraction.
In the end, the book's message is really one of empowerment. It urges you to master life's laws instead of just denying they exist. Mastery comes from using the higher forces to your advantage against the lower ones. And it's this divine paradox that really sits at the heart of everything it teaches.
This is for entertainment and educational purposes only.